All right, welcome to day one of our history lesson / our reading lesson. I'm going to be reading Who Was Martin Luther King Jr. I also, for your viewing pleasure, I included my lovely dog, Chief, in this video so that he can make a little appearance for you to brighten your day. Okay, so I'll be reading this story and I'll also be asking some different questions along the way. You can answer them out loud, you can answer them on your notebook paper, however you want to do it, or you can just think about them. It's up to you. Okay, so we're going to start on chapter 1 with Who Was Martin Luther King Jr. All right, growing up in the South was not easy for Martin Luther King Jr. He was born in 1929, when black people were treated very differently than white people. One day, Martin's father took his young son to buy a pair of shoes. The store was empty, but the white shopkeeper told them that they would have to wait in the back of the store. Martin's father got very angry. Why did they have to sit in the back of the store? If he couldn't buy shoes for his son in the front of the store, he would not buy them at all. He took Martin by the hand and led him out of the store, and they walked down the street. His father said, "I don't care how long I have to live with this system. I will never accept it." The system in the South kept black people apart from white people. It was called segregation. Black children and white children went to separate schools. Black people had to ride at the back of the bus. As he grew up, Martin decided to fight for change, but it was a peaceful fight. Martin led marches. He banded people together in protests. He made speeches. Many people listened to his words and joined his nonviolent fight. Martin Luther King Jr. fought using his words, not his fists. Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream that all people could live together in peace and be treated equally. And though he died over 40 years ago, his dream lives on. So there's a picture of them fighting peacefully. So that's your first discussion question. Why do you think Martin Luther King would want to use a system that is nonviolent? I know we've talked about that in class a little bit, but why would he choose the nonviolent route? What does that benefit? What benefit did that have? So you can either think about your answer, you can respond to someone in the room with you, you can respond to me in the video even though I can't hear you, or you can write it down. But why do you think he chose that method? Okay, why do you think, Chief? He's sleeping. Not very interesting for him. All right, chapter 1, A Perfect Boy. On January 15th, 1929, a baby boy was born in the city of Atlanta, Georgia. The doctor said he was perfect. His parents were so happy, they named him Michael, the same name that his father had. But when little Michael was 5, his father decided to change both of their names to Martin. So now the little boy became Martin Luther King Jr. I did not know that he was born a Michael. Learn something new every day. So he was born in Atlanta, Georgia, which we know where Georgia is based on our regions, right? So he was born in Atlanta, Georgia. Young Martin had a very happy home life. He had an older sister named Willie Christine. Everyone called her Chris. He also had a young brother named Alfred Daniel. The Kings lived in a large house on Auburn Avenue in Atlanta. Their neighborhood was comfortable. No one was very poor or very rich. There was a lot of love in the Martins family. Martin never remembered his parents arguing. Martin's mother, Alberta Williams King, was very soft-spoken and easygoing. Her father was a well-known minister. After high school, she went to college, which was something that not many black women did back then. Alberta had a warm personality, and Martin always found it very easy to talk to her. On the other page, there was a picture of their family portrait, the King family. Martin's father, Martin Sr., was a large man in many ways. He weighed about 220 pounds and was filled with self-confidence. Martin Jr. admired his father very much. His father's family was very poor and lived in a rundown shack. They were sharecroppers. A sharecropper is a farmer who does not own his own land. Instead, he works on another farmer's land and gets some of the crops for himself. Martin's father worked hard to get his high school and college diplomas. After college, he became a minister of the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. There's a picture of them with the sharecroppers. And then here's the church they were talking about. The Ebenezer Baptist Church was like a second home to Martin. He sang in the church choir, he went to Sunday school, and made many friends. It was there that Martin learned to get along with all kinds of people, kids as well as teachers. Here he is singing in the choir. One of Martin's good friends was white. The boys had known each other since they were 3 years old. The boys didn't live near Martin, but his father owned a store across the street from the King home. Martin and the boy were always together, but when they turned 6, they started school. Martin went to a school for black children. The boy went to a school for white children. One day, the boy's father told his son that he could no longer play with Martin. Martin ran home and cried to his mother. It was the end of the friendship. Man. So think about that. Like, you were best friends with this kid until you go to school, and then all of a sudden, your parents tell you you're not allowed to be friends anymore just because of the color of their skin. Hey, it's pretty crazy. That'd be hard to understand that as a young boy like that. Okay. That night at dinner, the family had a long talk. This was the first time that Martin realized how many white people felt about black people. Even so, his parents told Martin not to hate white people. It was his duty as a Christian to love everyone. Martin's mother told him that he should always keep a sense of somebodyness, that he was important, even though the outside world was telling him he was not. As Martin Luther King Jr. grew up, he became more and more aware of the problems facing black people, especially in the South. Everywhere he looked, where there were whites-only signs, blacks could not go into many hotels, restaurants, and stores. Blacks could not even drink out of the same water fountains as whites. In many cities, blacks had to ride in the back of a bus. If they tried to sit in the front, they were thrown in jail. If black people wanted to go to a movie theater, they had to sit way up in the balcony. These rules were called Jim Crow laws, and they made Martin very angry. And you can tell that in this picture, like, the quality of the drinking fountain is not nearly as good. So in this one, it says white, and it's pretty and brand new. And this one over here is cracked and gross. So it wasn't even that there's things that were separate were even equal. They were completely different. Okay, so that made Martin very angry when he started to realize that. In high school, Martin had to take long bus rides to and from school. He always walked to the back where the other black people sat. Once Martin and a teacher traveled by bus to Dublin, Georgia for a speech contest. Martin won the contest and was very proud. On the way home to Atlanta, the bus driver ordered Martin and his teacher to give up their seats to white passengers. When they did not move right away, the bus driver became angry, and it was the law. After all, they ended up standing in the aisle for the 90-mile ride. But Martin told himself, one of these days, I'm going to put my body up there where my mind is. He knew that one day he would have a seat up front. So you can think about this or you can write it down. But how would you feel if you were the first person to sit down somewhere, but just because the color of your skin, they asked you to move and they got super angry with you? Think about how that would make you feel. Okay, so here's a picture of them standing in the aisle, and they said that it was a 90-mile ride. So that's pretty far away to just stand the whole time. Okay, so all right. And that is the end of chapter 1. So that's where we're going to stop for today. A couple different questions that you can think about or write down and reflect about, or you can just write down your feelings about this chapter. Okay, so check in tomorrow for chapter 2.